To the world, 24-year-old Arthur Vance was a prodigy, a self-made tech founder whose digital security startup was recently valued at $40 million. He was sharp, charismatic, and looked exactly like the future of Silicon Valley. But inside this windowless room, the FBI wasn't looking at a genius. They were looking at an illusion. For the last 6 hours, Arthur sat completely unfazed, answering the agent's questions with practiced ease. He genuinely believed he had committed the perfect digital heist, clearing out $16 million from a Federal Reserve vector without leaving a single footprint. He thought he was the smartest person in the room. What he didn't know was that Special Agent Miller had just entered the building with a single line of metadata, a tiny unseen code that would dismantle Arthur's entire life in less than 60 seconds.
Vance,
a 20-year veteran of the FBI's cybercrime division, Miller knew exactly who he was dealing with. Arthur Vance wasn't a street criminal. He was an ego-driven perfectionist, and treating him like a thug would only make him clam up. To break a genius, you have to let them believe they are winning. For the first 20 minutes, Miller doesn't even mention the $16 million. Instead, he compliments Arthur. He asks about his startup, his coding background, and how a 24-year-old managed to build such an elite security framework. Arthur eats it up. His posture relaxes. He begins lecturing the agent on server vulnerabilities. Arthur believed he was entirely safe because he used a localized onion-routed VPN encrypted through a server array in Switzerland. On paper, his digital signature was completely invisible, but Arthur made one critical error that had nothing to do with code. He forgot about human nature. Miller stopped smiling. He slides a document across the table. It isn't a server log from Switzerland. It's a digital receipt for a premium dark roast coffee purchased at a small cafe in downtown DC at exactly 2:45 a.m. on the night of the heist. The cafe's public Wi-Fi network log showed a single encrypted connection spike at that exact second, and the metadata attached to that connection carried the hardware MAC address of Arthur's personal laptop. For exactly 14 seconds, there is absolute silence in the room. In the world of criminal psychology, this is known as the cognitive tilt. Arthur's brain, which had spent months calculating a flawless digital heist, was suddenly forced to confront a variable he couldn't delete: his own carelessness. The physical breakdown happens fast. Arthur leans back, crosses his arms tightly, a classic defensive posture, and tries one last desperate play. He claims his personal laptop was stolen the week prior, but Agent Miller was already 3 steps ahead. Miller slides a second document forward. It's the street-level traffic camera data from that exact night, showing Arthur's black Tesla driving away from the cafe at 2:48 a.m. The digital mask had been completely stripped away. At 4:02 a.m., Arthur Vance lowers his head into his hands, his voice cracking as he utters 5 words that changed his life forever. I want a corporate lawyer. But it was already too late. The confession was written in the data. In October, Arthur Vance stood before a federal judge. The tech prodigy who thought he had executed the world's most perfect faceless cyber heist was sentenced to 12 years at a maximum security federal correctional facility, alongside a mandate to pay back every single cent of the $16 million. Arthur Vance designed a multi-million-dollar labyrinth of code, only to be trapped by a $4 cup of coffee. It proves that no matter how brilliant the mastermind, human nature always leaves a footprint. The world is full of brilliant crimes that were meant to remain hidden forever, but here we unseal them. Click the video on your screen right now to dive into our next unsealed case file, and subscribe to make sure you never miss what happens behind the yellow tape. This is Case File Unseen. See you in the next shadow.